Welcome back, boys and girls, to the channel. Thank you very much for clicking on the video, and if you make it to the end of this, then I will thank you again at the end. But thank you for your time so far. Let's jump into it. Apex Legends is the new Battle Royale game on the block, and it's kicked things off to a pretty amazing start, amassing over 10 million plays in just under 72 hours of launch. Respawn have added their unique twist to the formula, and players seem to be absolutely buzzed with it. With its fast and fluid gameplay, easy no-mic communication, and a wealth of customization options means its further monetization with the Battle Pass next month is looking like an easy sell for most players. And full transparency, I'm probably going to be one of them. Now, the game's been out for a few weeks now. We've all spent enough time getting absolutely destroyed in there. If you're me, seriously, I'm terrible at this game. And I've got some thoughts. I've got some things that I would like to say about Apex Legends. They're not criticisms. They're more just tidbits of what I would like to see come to the game over its first year. Now, I fully understand that this is a free-to-play games as a service model, so most of these things are likely to come to the game over the course of the first year. But I want them now, and they're not in the game now, so they're probably worth a mention. It's no biggie. Let's get into it.
This is my favorite part.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the cosmetics in the game. The ones that you earn through the loot box system. Every time you level up, you get that little robot guy come out, he spits out 3 triangles, and then you are presented with, in my case, a lot of white stuff, a lot of non-rare white stuff. But I've got my hands on a few epics and a few rares and blah, 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 and they're just sort of fine. There's nothing really amazing in there. Now, I flicked through a bunch of all of the other legends, and I've checked out all of their extra skins and their guns and whatever, and this, again, they're all just fine. They're all like meh to fine, meh to fine. That's the scale of this channel. It's meh to fine. Now, there are a few cool skins in there, but there's nothing that, there's nothing that's wanting to make me grind game after game in the hopes that I get a random drop with it in. And there's 100%, and I am rubbish with microtransactions. There are no skins and no cosmetics in this game that make me want to pay for them. And I am an easy target. I'm rubbish. So Respawn, I really think you need to up your game on the cosmetics. Now, I am not somebody who just complains and expects change. I have a small suggestion for you to do with these cosmetics. What would be cool is to take the customization of our legends to the absolute next level. Let us chop and change our clothes as we see fit. The same for all of our headgear and other accessories. I'm talking face paints, I'm talking tattoos, hair color, different voice packs, different voice dialogue, different attitudes when they're talking to the other players. I want the full works. Give us the customization options of a game sort of like Sunset Overdrive, but keep the character models locked in place. Everything else should be down to the player, fully customization. Fully customizationable, fully customizable. One of those will do. This will keep that sense of progression fast and constant, as a stream of unlocks are going to be pinging away in our menus, and we've always got something new and shiny to look at. And who's to say we stop at character unlocks? The gun skins are cool, but again, nothing incredible. It's fine to meh. Maybe let us add our own emblems and our own charms. Do you remember in Modern Warfare 2, you could put your clan tag on your gun and it was sort of carved into the weapon skin? Let us do that. I want to put a 3-letter word on my gun, so that when I find that out in the world, it's going to be immediately more personal to me. And even more importantly, should you die, or in my case, when I definitely die and my gun gets stolen, they're going to see how amazing my gun looks. That's it. There's nothing else to add, I just think that's cool. Moving on. Now, next up is something which I'm absolutely sure, no doubt it's coming, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be dropping in March with the Battle Pass. If it doesn't, Respawn are idiots, but they're not idiots. They've done an amazing job here. Get on with your point, Ben. Daily challenges, daily and weekly challenges are an absolute must for a Battle Royale game, but I don't want you to skimp out on them. I don't want challenges that I can do easily. I don't want 3 to 4 daily challenges that I can knock out in one game. That's not the point. I'm a man who likes checklists of things to do, and if I'm honest, it's the one aspect of Battle Royale games that let me down every single time. Fortnite is the closest thing to getting this right with me. Battle Royale can be a crazy, intense experience should you land in the right place or run into another group at the right time. However, they can also be deeply lonely and boring experiences, running around with low to mid-tier loot, not seeing another squad for what feels like an absolute bloody eternity, only to finally catch up to the ring and everybody else to be shot down straight away. Having daily and weekly challenges can be used to break up this long cycle of just chasing the ring, and no, I don't mean your uncle's self-shot basement film. Being able to chip away at challenges and find certain locations during these boring runs can really help break up the monotony, and again, it's only going to add to that sense of progression. Should you finally catch up to the ring and be gunned down immediately, at least you're still going to get that nice little XP boost when you're back in the lobby as you manage to tick off 1 or 2 different challenges. Long, lonely runs are a part of the Battle Royale experience, and although these challenges won't totally solve the issue, it's definitely going to help keep that player retention. Point number 3, am I numbering these? I can't remember. Next point, I'm seeing the conversation online about the map in Apex. What's it going to do? Is it going to evolve over time, much like it does in Fortnite, or are they going to drop multiple new maps, much like PUBG? And if I'm honest, I don't know which one I'm actually going to prefer. Now, I've not played Titanfall, and let me be clear, after the gameplay and what I've experienced from Apex, I'm 100% going to pick up Titanfall, and I can only implore that most of you do the same. And I understand that what I'm about to say might entirely be personal preference, but the Titanfall/Apex gunplay, I feel like it's much better suited to close combat in a tight enclosed environment. Getting into a 3-squad gunfight in Market or Skulltown feels absolutely amazing. And if you're an absolute mad lad and you jump straight to the supply ship at the beginning of the game and you land with 20 other players around you, that is Apex performing at its absolute best. Idiots running around really small, tight spaces, shooting each other just feels so right with this type of movement and gunplay. But if we take that same experience and move it over into the more open areas of the map, it feels like you just get shredded almost instantly. Your gun never seems to do as much damage as what your opponent's does, and being out in the open shooting across longer stretches just feels just inaccurate and weak. So a new map with more focus on smaller, tighter areas seems to be like the easier way to go. The problem with bringing in new maps is that favourites will start to form and you'll end up playing the same map over and over again. And where these maps will be smaller and more focused, there's going to be less ways to change up the formula of play, and you can see people growing sick of these maps fairly quickly. So that being said, an evolving map seems to be the way forward. It seems to make more sense. Having a landscape change due to events in the lore is something that we have seen before in other titles, and it does keep things fresh. Should Apex go down this route, I hope that they would just update their maps slightly faster, at slightly quicker intervals depending on how long their seasons are. I guess this point comes across more as just a straight out criticism of the current map. It's not bad, but it's not great. Those open areas really sort of pull the fun factor down. If you're playing with 2 other randoms and you're not communicating very well and you're all sort of wishing you were playing solo, those open areas can be an absolute slog. Speaking of solo, now I want to be clear, playing in a squad of 3, it's great. I've had some incredible sessions playing with friends and random players, and being able to fully communicate with that ping system is bloody great. No other game has done it as well as they have. But sometimes you do just want to jump in and you want to fly solo. You just want a single game. I don't want to be running around picking up my squad mates and then feeling really guilty if I don't pick them up, and it's a horrible time. I just want to play by myself. Now this is an addition which I can see coming without question. It's more a case of how long we're going to have to wait for it rather than if it's actually ever going to make it into the game. Solos and duos play should be a given in a BR title. And I understand that this is different and it's been designed for group play, but I still think the option of going solo should be there. And again, I don't just want to criticize, I want to give out ideas. So why don't we tie this into our map solution? Different maps for a different level of play. The current map is pretty big and it's got a mix of open and closed areas, perfect for playing with squads of 3. However, let's say you want to play in a solos game and instead of landing on the current map on that little island, you're actually dropped into a fairly small but dense city. A much smaller map but designed and built for those solo player runs. You can even change this up with how many people are actually in the game, drop the standard 60 down to 30 for more fast and intense gameplay, or be an absolute madman and up it to 90. I don't know, I'm not a game designer, I just buy and play a lot of games, and I think this would be a really fun way to do it. You can use the same idea when introducing duos, and I understand that that sounds like a lot of work with designing potentially 3 maps for 3 different game modes, keeping those updated and keeping them evolving over time. But this is something that hasn't been done yet, and I think it would be a really, really good way of adding new content. Speaking of adding new content, the last point I want to touch on now are the community events. Now, before I go any further forward into this video, I want to stress yet again, I have not played Titanfall and am not familiar with the lore of the game or the worlds besides what has been shown and demonstrated to me during my time in Apex Legends. Moving on. Now this is something that I just wish more games would do as a whole, especially games as services. Short events lasting 2 weeks or so, which would have a lasting impact on the game going forward. These events can affect the future evolution of the map. They can see the introduction of new legends sprinkled in with little narrative tidbits. Here's an idea which I haven't fully thought out yet, and it might be absolutely trash, but factions could be created at the beginning of these 2 weeks. Players would then align themselves with what faction they want to play under, and the factions are given a stronghold and territories across the map. Depending on how well that faction performs, they would either gain or lose territory, creating unique locations specific to them. I'm basically taking the idea from For Honor and putting it into a battle royale game. This way we don't have to play For Honor. These events would give you unlocks and new cosmetics specific to that event, and it's kind of like a badge of honor when playing in the future, I guess. Like I said, that's just one example which I've briefly thought up, and it might go against absolutely everything that is established within the Titanfall universe. I don't know. I'm just a guy who plays a lot of games and think that people who are much more in the know with much more better creative ideas could do something really great in carving out a loyal community for this game. But there we go, that's what I would like to see within Apex's first year. That's sort of where I would like them to focus their attention. Some of my suggestions might be overreaching and some of them might be completely obvious, but it's a cool new game and I wanted to talk about it, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and I hope that it keeps me playing, because the unthinkable might happen and I might just get a little bit good. But what do you guys think of Apex, and what do you want to see brought to the game in its first year? Let me know down below, and as always, thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. You have fed my ego for the day. There are other videos on this channel, some are like this and some are not, so feel free to check those out, and if you don't find me too unbearable, then maybe consider hitting subscribe. Thank you very much again, and I hope you have a really good day. Go on, have a really good day. That's my challenge to you.